Hey there, Brian. Welcome to the SABM podcast.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, my man. Well, hey, it's been good getting to know you, I guess, over the last year or so. So I remember you were on the all calls for a while as you were formulating your game plan for um, your new business opportunity, and then most recently, it's been great having you a part of 10X Vets and seeing you on those calls and learning about port of subs. I've never been to a port of subs, so
Yeah,
maybe they're just not geographically in where I've lived, but would love to maybe just start things off with maybe just Brian, just kind of share, kind of a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you're doing today with the Port of Subs franchise.
yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. If I would have asked my younger self, do you anticipate ever building a sandwich shop in the future? I would have kind of thought myself crazy, right? But looking back, there's a lot of things that happened over my career that kind of put me in this place right now. I started out at the ripe old age of 18, going to Army basic training at Fort Benning as 11 Bravo. Extremely challenging physically, mentally, and anyone who's been through infantry training knows. But I learned a lot about Bryan. I almost quit a couple times. I called my recruiter dads to get me out of here, but I stuck with it, and it gave me the confidence then that hey, just dig down deep, recognize that if other people can do it, you can too, right? So I left the Guard and joined the Air Force, and this time I had a different challenge. It was more of an academic challenge. I was studying Korean language. I could barely speak English, fresh off the farm in Alabama, right? And now I'm challenged with speaking Korean, and I didn't know how to study. Certainly didn't know how to learn a foreign language. But again, I kind of adjusted along the way and ended up with a 4.0 out of that 53, 54-week course. And again, it gave me the confidence that, wow, maybe I can do things if I just put my mind to it. Got out of the military the first time, went back to school at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, joined the ROTC, and by now I had 6 years of military experience. And I realized that everybody was looking to me. All the other students were looking to me. How do you do this? What should I do there? And I turned into this mentor at the ripe old age of about 25 to a lot of kids that were coming in through the program and anticipating being in the military. And so it set me on a path of realization that, the experience and the training, and then the position you find yourself in, the leadership position that I discovered along the way through ROTC, is it put me in a different mindset that I could influence folks down a particular path. And so throughout my entire Intel career, the rest of my Air Force career, I sought opportunities to be a mentor, to be in charge, to live the Air Force values of service before self, excellence in all we do, integrity first, those kind of things. And so after I retired in 2009, I became a civil servant, contractor, moved around with a couple of different organizations. Finally left military service or government service in 2015 to join the corporate world as a business development executive for TransUnion. Again, new challenge, and I discovered that I had a knack for, opening conversations and shaking hands and glad handing and as your colleague likes to say, sales is a contact sport. So I got good at that contact sport, right? All that accumulated, then I faced a point in my life where several things were happening. My kids were leaving, I was looking for a new opportunity, and I finally decided to circle back and just explore the entrepreneurial part of it. So, accumulation of 30 years of experience led me to this point of going, I want to take on this challenge, and I want to do it in a way that benefits others. So I'm trying to build out, a platform of several revenue generating opportunities that includes what you and I are very familiar with, the whole veteran and military ecosystem. So I feel very fortunate to have the series of experiences and education I've had along the way that led me to this point.
Yeah, and how did you wind up with the Port of Subs opportunity? Like, how did you connect with that group, and what led you to want to develop the franchise in the DC area where you live?
I like to say my planets aligned. Probably what really happened were the algorithms tuned into Bryan doing research online for entrepreneur and franchise opportunities. And so through social media, I got pushed an ad for Port of Subs. I started digging into it and saw that it had recently been acquired by an Air Force veteran named
Hmm.
Dave Leninger Dave Leninger also happens to be the co-founder of Remax Realty, if you've heard of that small company. He developed a private equity firm. He peeled off from his job at Remax, started a private equity firm, and bought Port of Subs with the intention of taking it nationally and internationally. It was already a 54-year-old brand when he bought it. It had about 140 stores out west. So that's probably why you haven't seen it too much. But Dave bought it. He realized it was a good brand, a lot of loyalty to the brand. If you're out in Reno or Las Vegas or Arizona, you'll see Port Subs all over the place. And he decided this is the opportunity where I can put some resources behind it and grow it into a national and international brand. And his desire was to do it in 10 years. He said it took him 50 years to build out Remax. He wants to do this one in 10 years. So when I saw that military background and the franchise expertise, the resources, his dedication to helping others, I decided I wanted to be a part of this team.
And Brian, what's your role there? So, if you just want to kind of share that, I know like I've heard your story from the, on the
Yeah.
10X Vets calls, but you kind of have like a dual role with Port
Yeah,
of
that's true.
Subs.
The way Port of Subs sells the franchises is twofold. Number one is they sell a region. One region is comprised of around 500,000 population. And within that region, you're expected to build 10 stores. The DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area is so population dense that I decided to buy 7 regions. And in that role, I'm responsible for helping develop up to 70 stores, probably in excess of 70 stores over the next 10 years, by seeking franchise owners, folks who want to buy into the system. So that's one role, is to sell franchises. The other role is to actually run a store. So part of my obligation is to build a flagship or 2 or 3 and use those as a basis for training, for recruiting, for sharing sandwiches, for catering, all those things. So yeah, I'm really dual hatted here. I anticipate owning about 10 stores myself and franchise out the other 60. And the 10 stores that I want to own are the airports, the military. We already have a contract with the Navy. So we're starting to explore options for putting, Port of Subs on some of the Navy facilities around. And in the Pentagon, like I said. So, it's a lot to carry to take on, is trying to learn this business, but also trying to sell all at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, that's a um, another challenge. So it seems like you kind of gone through life and enjoying these challenges, and
Yeah.
each one has given you the confidence to take on the next challenge. How close are you from going, from 0 to 1, and opening up your first location?
Yeah, well, coincidentally, today I received the contract to start construction. So I had to review with my attorney and the corporate folks today, and I'll sign. Once that happens, I anticipate being ready to open the door in late October. And I've selected a site in Laurel, Maryland, in the
Okay.
town center of Laurel. I did that deliberately. I selected Laurel and I selected Maryland as the first part for our East Coast expansion. I used to work out at Fort Meade and NSA, so I just have a lot of connectivity back to a lot of different tribes around that area, I'll call it. And it just felt right to go into a place that I was familiar and people would be willing to swing by and give me a chance.
All right. And so obviously opening up that first store is, I'd imagine the top goal right now, top priority, kind of planting the flag and your area, your region, and then now you've got the one that you can build off of and, kind of build that brand and, get people interested in maybe becoming a franchisee, and opening up a store of their own. After that, I guess, what would you say, looking out over the next 6 to 12 months, let's assume like, hey, the store's open. What are some of your other most important goals, throughout the rest of this year and into the beginning of next year, as you build out this new brand?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting that first store open and making it real. Right now, it seems to be hypothetical. People may have heard of it, they've never tasted the sandwich. If they want to taste a sandwich, we have to go out to Vegas or Denver, Colorado. So this would be the opportunity to really just host people in, have them swing by and see what it's all about, and parlay that into, more fulsome discussions about potential ownership or partnership. I'm looking for veteran-owned businesses to help me build out the next the next one, two, three, four stores. I want to kind of do what you do, build a veteran ecosystem. So together we're all lifting each other up. There's going to be a lot of money flowing through the process of building out 70 stores. And can I get a veteran, military veteran lawyer or accountant or bookkeeper or, general contractor, subcontractors? And so my intent there is continue to build that network of veteran-owned businesses up to then pursue, to your question, store number two. I immediately begin looking for the next location once I open this one up. And I think I want to stick around the Fort Meade area. So build a cluster of 3 or 4 stores around Fort Meade that can, just for efficiencies, marketing overlap, advertising overlap, shared catering responsibilities, maybe even shared workspaces, management, for example. But yeah, I'm already thinking of, Bowie, Maryland, Columbia, Hanover, other, Annapolis Junction, other locations around Fort Meade that would are far enough away that make it part of my cluster, but close enough that we can create some efficiencies there. After I do that, Scott, I'll start working on while I'm simultaneously selling other franchises. I'm looking at other places to cluster as well. So we're off to the races once I get that first door open.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on, so I know you've obviously, kind of had lots of conversations with the Air Force veteran, co-founder of Remax. The name escapes me of,
Dave,
what's his first name again?
Dave.
Dave. So Dave, what do you think he sees in the port of subs opportunity? Obviously he's made a pretty big investment. There's was 140 or so locations. A 50-year-old brand though, so it's been around a while. Why do based on your conversations with him, what do you think that he saw as the vision of the company? And he's already kind of built a successful business. Why invest in this one? I'm just kind of curious, what he sees in the opportunity and kind of from your perspective.
Yeah. Well, his private equity firm is called Area 15 Ventures, LLC, and it's he and some of his colleagues that had a variety of interests. So he invested in a couple of Harley Davidson stores, I think some horses, some thoroughbred horse racing horses, some race cars. Dave is an incredibly interesting guy. He's truly one of those been there, done that kind of guys. And so I think what happened was he decided he just wanted to challenge himself. As he was researching different brands to buy under his private equity company, he came across Port of Subs, and he's from Denver, Colorado, and Port of Subs was kind of sort of regional out west, so he kind of knew about it. But then he started doing the due diligence. Said it took him about a year to really pull the trigger, and through that time, he discovered that this is an incredibly loyal customer base that they just love. Then you'll hear the words, "I love Port of Subs." I was never that emotional about sandwiches myself, but I can understand with the quality and the culture and the atmosphere. He saw a regional brand that was ripe for expansion nationally and globally. And he did it once, like I said, with Remax, and he wanted to do it again, just with a different brand and with employing his what I'll call he's one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the history of the United States of America. Remax has like 140,000 agents around the world. And so he perfected that system. He brought some people over with him. He brought the techniques with him, and he's overlaying that onto the Port of Subs regional brand and using that to expand nationally and internationally. So I think he's excited about the challenges of doing that quickly. He asked me, he's like, "Look, how are you at following checklists and meeting deadlines?" I'm like, come on, military. I mean, we live for that kind of stuff, right? So I think he's trying to put in place a military-like structure, not really, not as strict, but at least have the same kind of culture, the same kind of structure and thought process that we are used to in the military, and just to translate that into to growing full of such. So it's hard not to follow his enthusiasm. He's a very enthusiastic guy, and he transfers that to the rest of us. It's exciting times.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of probably also gives you peace of mind and confidence that you have somebody like that with the military background,
Yeah.
you know, so there's kind of a trust factor there, and then also like the entrepreneurial track record, that like, hey, I can get behind this vision and, because, it sounds like somebody that's going to see it through. And equally, he's probably glad to have you on board, right? To help develop this
Yeah.
region and build your own stores and then attract, the right franchisees into the company to develop their own stores. So,
I think you're right. Where it makes sense, I think he seeks out and the rest of the team seek out folks with our kind of background, right? With some military background. Of course, we have, different levels of experience from different industries. Some people have been entrepreneurs and franchise owners their entire life. They're excellent. They just jump right in and they know what to do. And then others have to be trained up a little bit, like myself, but I bring a different skill set to the equation. So I think he's trying to build this holistic um, organization that has a little bit of skill set from a lot of different places. So I don't mean to suggest that we're only focused on military. Personally, I am for the DC area because of my background and because of my, my links, my relationships. But as a company, I think, some of those military and government type functions and habits are starting to kind of take hold. It's a good feeling, and we've got professionals that he brought over from Remax, but he also has professionals that he retained. Our CEO, our current CEO, has been with the brand for like 30 years, and she's phenomenal. She's a great leader. She knows everything about the business. She used to own some stores herself, so she's truly, one of those who rose up through the ranks. And so we're very fortunate to have the kind of leadership in place that addresses all different aspects of it.
and what does success look like for you? So if you had to flash forward out into the future, say, 5 years from now, what does success look like for you? Where would you like this to go?
Yeah, I mean, it would be easy to say success would mean, 35 stores operational, and that is a measure of success. But I think really, I got to be honest, at this point in my life where I feel like it's my turn to give back, I think success would be creating a platform that gives veterans and military folks an opportunity to kind of grow with me. Let's build this thing together. And so the entire ecosystem is, to the extent I can, there's going to be obviously sometimes we can't, but to the extent I can, is bring in that network of folks that we're all familiar with to help grow a platform, an enterprise-wide system around the DMV. And let's leverage each other's skill set and resources to collectively make this a profitable enterprise for everybody involved. So I guess really boiling it down is like if I could elevate other veterans and military members and their family members to a place of entrepreneurship and financial freedom, and that would be it.
Yeah, and these local businesses, I mean, that's what drives the economy. Small businesses drive the economy. So, all of the jobs that you're going to create, the businesses you're going to help create, the jobs, that were going to come from those businesses. It's really, and if, hey, if those, a lot of those folks are veterans that
Oh,
become franchisees and maybe even employees at the stores, that and their kids too, probably. I'd imagine there's going to be some
100%. Well,
kiddos making some subs in the
yeah.
stores.
Well, my 18-year-old has been trying for 2 years to get a job, but because he lacks the experience, no one's willing to hire him. I want to be that guy that hires the 16-year-old. I mean, why not? Teach them some real life skills, maybe mentor them up toward this, and just put this in their tool bag as experiences as they grow up and move to different aspects of their life. I want to be that guy to help get them jump started, right?
And Brian, what would you say are your biggest challenges right now? So if you had to ask for help, uh, or even connections, right? Valuable connections for you, from the listeners today. What are your biggest challenges, and who are the types of people, or what are their skill sets that can help you overcome them, so that you can achieve this vision that you have?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the challenge, of course, I feel my primary job right now is just to sell franchises, to find those entrepreneurs, owners who's willing to take that next step. And so I employ a lot of different recruiting resources and methods to try to reach folks who may have an interest in having a discussion. So that's my biggest single challenge. Although close behind that is just managing 1,000 different tasks that is involved in, from site selection to negotiating contracts to putting everything in place, the construction aspect, working with county, city, local governments. There's just a myriad of challenges on that side. But ultimately, if I had to ask for some assistance for the folks who are on this call, it would just be, it's just advocacy. It's just help spread the word. It's like, wow, maybe they know someone who wants to go down the entrepreneurial path, but they just don't know how to do it. Or, it's like they've thought about it, they're ready for a second career, and they just don't know which direction to go. I kind of feel like I've been there, done that. The military, the government, civil servant, own a business owner, franchise owner, the consultant, you name it, And so I feel like all that comes together to put me in a unique position to kind of offer advice to folks, but then also to help them navigate if they were to pursue something like this. So yeah, later on, though, Scott, I may be seeking some investment. It depends upon how quickly I can scale. As you mentioned earlier, I get this first one in place is the important thing. And the second, third is going to be right behind it, but maybe I want to do 10 or find an entrepreneur that wants to do 10. How do I scale up? I can't do it right now. So I may be looking for partners or equity investors later on that want to help me scale.
Gotcha. And what's would you say? So for somebody that's interested, they're like, "Hey, Brian, I'm interested in. I live in that area, or willing to relocate. Sounds like a really cool idea. I'm not sure if I've got the capital to. I mean, what's the commitment that you're looking for? From a potential franchisee, can they just open one store? Do they have to, open multiple stores? And what are like the financing solutions that at least you've kind of have seen as far as like how do these deals kind of get to the finish line from a
Yeah.
financial perspective?
Yeah, some folks do want to start out with one store, and we do have three fundamental requirements in addition to some of the interviewing process. But the three fundamental requirements are have at least a 700 credit score on the FICO, have at least 150,000 in liquidity, and that can be through various means. You don't have to have 150K sitting in your checking account, but as long as you can convert to 150K liquidity, and then 300K in overall net worth. That's for a single store. If you want to do multiple stores, the numbers bump up a little bit. But some folks have already talked to us about 3 to 5 stores. And so we have special considerations for franchise fees. The franchise fee for normal is 25K up front. For veterans is 12.5, so half of that, 50%
Hmm.
discount for veterans. And then I got to tell you, if a person has the resources, the commitment, the desire, and they get to sign on the dotted line, I want to be that guy that says, great, let me introduce you to your real estate developer who will help you find the perfect place. Introduce you to the lawyer who's been working with us on the franchise side and the accountant and all those folks. So I'm trying to build the team so that when it's a full up round, once you sign on the dotted line, I introduce you to these folks and we're off to the races. It's not quite that easy, but I'm trying my best to get everything aligned now so that when someone does say, how do I get started? I've already answered the questions through the team of experts.
Awesome, Brian. Well, hey, man, congrats on all your progress. And yeah, I just remember you on the calls, the all calls, sharing this idea. And, now it's coming to life, so you're
And,
4-ish months away from
uh,
opening your first location. And, congrats on all the headway that you've made. What's the best way for folks to learn more about Porta Subs, to get in touch with you? And we'll happy to share your contact info in the show notes.
yeah, through my cell phone, and you're going to share that as well as my email address, bdenson@portofsubs.com. I do have a website a DMV specific website. If you're interested in learning a little bit more just from that, I can share that link as well. And then too, there's a opportunity to meet in person. For the right person, I'll even host you out in Denver, Colorado, so you can meet with the corporate team and get a better feel from their vantage as to how they're supporting it. You can taste the sandwich and talk to the operators and ask all the questions you want to. So there's a variety of ways that I can take it to the next level.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to check out Porta Sub. So next time I'm in an area where there is one, definitely going to check one out. And I just remember the 10X Vets call from a few months ago, and one of the members lives in Las Vegas, and like when you like he made it a point to mention like, oh, my daughter
Yeah.
loves Porta Subs, like, So it's really cool to see the excitement that people have
Yeah.
for the restaurant.
Yeah, well, unbeknownst to me, my nephew's wife is originally from Reno. I had no idea. And when I announced that I was doing my family that I was doing this, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're finally getting a porta subs here in Virginia." And she said, "Stand by, we'll be eating a lot." But she said the same thing. We love porta subs. We grew up eating porta subs. So it's interesting to me how, some folks have seen it in the airports, but some folks are really really passionate. I was about to say emotional, but passionate is a better word about it. So it's to me, there's a lot of good indicators. It's a good brand. It's going to succeed, and with some of the military discipline that I'm trying to bring to the region, I think we're off to the races. I will say one thing. It's like sometimes I wake up and go, I can't, this is great. And other times I wake up and go, what the heck did I do, man? But I'm sure that resonates with all entrepreneurs, I'm my own worst critic sometimes, but I'm here to tell you it's just normal. It just is entrepreneurs are taking a risk, calculated risk. And I feel like right now that with the support of 10X Vets and others, I got to tell you, Scott, I'm proud to be part of your organization. I've learned a lot, and some of the ideas about building that veteran ecosystem comes from talking to you and a lot of the others on the call. So I really appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Well, thanks for being a part of the group and great job today on the podcast. And we'll link to your LinkedIn profile and put your contact info there in the show notes. So for people that are interested and want to connect after they listen to this, they can easily do so. And uh, here's to the next 3 or 4 months, man, until you get your first store open. Really excited for you. And, here's to a great finish to 2026.
And sure, you'll have a personal invitation to the grand opening. Promise.